Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Maverick News Channel. I'm Rick Walker. Great to have everybody here tonight. What a program we have in store for you. We're going to have a couple of special people by to share information they've been gathering. Dragon's going to stop in and give us some background information that will help us understand who is really behind these pro-Palestinian campus protests and encampments. Also, Joseph Lenard will be by to talk about propaganda, terrorism, what's going on in Hamas, and we'll dig into the information warfare centering around the attack in Kharkiv, and also what's going on in Gaza. And there was just another attack there just a short time ago. So no shortage of war news to share with you tonight. Also, outrage in the province of New Brunswick, Canada. That's in the Maritimes for our American friends who maybe are not aware, or other people around the world watching tonight. Outrage over sexual education program that the Premier says goes way too far. It's called Thirsty for the Talk. And he says that this program, these lessons that they've been teaching high school kids, that it isn't what the government was told it was supposed to be. The people in charge of education there, he says, didn't really give him the accurate information. We'll show you what we mean. We'll get into that. So, whoa, we've got so much to talk about. Also, RFK Jr. and Donald Trump both snubbed by the Libertarian Party after graciously attending the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C., and addressing the delegates. They put those two fellas through all that, and then they decided that they weren't going to nominate them, either one of them. They rejected them. Trump, I'll tell you all about it. We'll get into it. Okay, politics. What a strange presidential election it is. Stay with me. We've got all that and more coming right up.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's get straight to this story about the New Brunswick Premier in Canada. This is, and the sexual education program. This is going to set some parents off. I know it. I have to tell you, a little editorializing here right off the top of the program. I consider myself to be a pretty tolerant guy, pretty open-minded about things. But, my kids are grown up and they've moved out. Okay. Sorry. But I'll tell you, I saw some things going on when they were in school that made me kind of raise an eyebrow, like Mr. Spock, a few times, especially when it came to issues of culture and sexual education. But nothing that made me complain. What I saw today, though, I can certainly understand why a lot of parents and just people in general might be pretty upset with what's going on out in New Brunswick and probably in other places across the country as well. What am I talking about? Well, New Brunswick Premier Blaine Higgs has decided to ban a Quebec-based sexual education organization from sharing information in New Brunswick schools. He has come out and stated this and has posted online about it today after finding what he calls an inappropriate presentation in high schools. All right, so let's find this. Let's find his statement. I get it. I totally get it. Here's, first of all, what Blaine Higgs wrote today on X. He says, a number of concerned parents have shared with me photos and screenshots of clearly inappropriate material that was presented recently in at least 4 New Brunswick high schools. To say I am furious would be a gross understatement. The presentation was not part of the New Brunswick curriculum, and the content was not flagged for parents in advance. My office has been told by Department of Education officials that this was supposed to be a presentation on HPV. However, the group shared materials well beyond the scope of an HPV presentation. The fact that this was shared shows either improper vetting was done, the group misrepresented the content they would share, or both. This group will not be allowed to present again at New Brunswick schools effective immediately. Our government will have further discussions about whether additional rules about third-party presentations need to be updated. Children should be protected and parents should be respected. I want parents to know that we are with you. We will continue to make decisions based on the principle that parents need to be aware of what is happening at schools so they can make informed parenting decisions. Do you think we need stronger rules about third-party presentations in our schools? And he says, I want to hear directly from you. Take our survey by clicking here. Here is, let's take a look. Well, first of all, before we click on that, let's just show you what one of the images is. So here's a slide presentation that was a photo of a slide presentation that apparently was taking place in one of the schools. Is it normal to watch? Okay, and this is maybe even sensitive subject matter for adults, so just be aware. On the screen here, for our people just listening on the podcast, it says, is it normal? There's a screen of a logo that says thirsty for the talk, and some lips and a tongue and a lollipop, and it looks sort of like a Rolling Stones style logo with a lollipop about to go into the lips of a mouth. And it says, is it normal, in text, and 4 different pieces of text in like speech balloons on the image. Is it normal to watch porn like people watch TV series? And then there's another one that says, and I'm sorry, I'm just reading what is on the screen. This was presented in a high school. Do girls masturbate? And then another one says, does it hurt when you do it for the first time? And is it good or bad to do anal? Wow. Okay. So that obviously is going to set some people off. Set the premier off. Parents, a lot of parents upset. And here's the screenshot now of, we'll go to the website where the premier is conducting a poll. And we'll show you what he's asking tonight. Here it is. Premier Higgs wants to hear from you. Please note that your contact information is requested to complete our survey. If you provide our email, we will send updates on this topic to you as they happen. So, there you can see it on the screen. It says, will you answer a few questions? How concerned are you that this content was shared with high school students without the awareness of their parents? Very concerned, slightly concerned, undecided, not concerned. And you leave your contact info, address, and submit. I don't have the results of it so far. Blaine Higgs is, as you can see there, PC. That would be progressive conservative. So he's a conservative premier in New Brunswick, Canada. So yeah, Higgs says that the Department of Education told him that the presentation was supposed to be about human papillomavirus, and the group shared materials well beyond that scope. Thirsty for the Talk is an organization, and so far we've had no response from Thirsty for the Talk, this group which is responsible for this presentation. And I guess they go into schools also in Quebec, maybe in other places as well. So I went and I found out more information about Thirsty for the Talk. They have a website, so let's go there and take a look at what this is really all about. Now, you know, when I was in school, back in the olden days, sexual education focused primarily on really medical information, birth control, just the facts of life, without getting too deep into anything related to sexual preference or choice or the relationship dynamics so much. It was strictly like, this is what STDs are, this is what this is what contraception is, this is how it works, this is why you have to be careful, this is how people get pregnant, that kind of thing. And that's really sort of about as far as it went. Explained, the biology, of course. So it went into biology, but this kind of goes well beyond that. And this certainly does not, what I'm about to show you, I would say this does not reflect, well, you can just decide what it reflects. I'm not going to get into that. Thirsty for the Talk. Okay, so what are they talking about? Slay with us? Okay. Explore and learn. No filter questions. Learn the lingo. Let's look at the lingo first. They're getting into the language. Okay? The language of sexuality. And I would say also the language of not traditional, very conservative or I'd say this is very woke. Okay, how about that? Can I put it that way? Like extremely woke and very slanted toward the LGBTQS plus community. So what is Women Crush Wednesday? Every Wednesday, users of social media will use this hashtag religiously in order to showcase their women crushes. Don't feel guilty for doing what's best for you. Okay. And then they're like, okay, what's this? What? Just again, this, folks, is potentially really sensitive information for some people. So if this is going to shock you, you might want to plug your ears or come back in about 5 minutes. What does the number 69 mean? I don't need to explain that, I don't think. Anal sex. Talks about anal sex. And, they're saying, like, go ahead, okay, and telling you how to do it. So, some parents may not like that. Depends on your personal beliefs and your value system, right? Bang, sex, getting it. I'm going to be quite honest. I thought I was pretty open-minded and maybe educated. There are a few things on here that I'm not really we're not familiar with. Wow. Shall I even open this one? Bang, sex, getting it. Sexual activity typically involving the insertion. Okay, I don't need to repeat that. I don't want to say this stuff here, let alone have it. Like if my kids were in school and they were teaching this stuff, high school, junior grades especially, you get into the senior grades, you're getting into, there's some of these kids are 18, maybe even 19 in some cases. Now you're talking about young adults, so maybe a little bit different scenario, but I'm not so sure that the high school setting is appropriate for this level or this kind of talk. People have varying opinions on this. But because, the thing is, because this is such sensitive material, parents, I think, should be absolutely informed, kept in the loop on this stuff. That's my opinion. And I don't know. I think this, I agree with the Premier. In this case, I think it's going way too far. This is not just health information. This is, I would say, promoting a lifestyle. And so it goes beyond just basic medical, biological information, like the rudimentary basics to keep people safe, keep people healthy. This goes to promotion of a lifestyle or lifestyles, polyamory, being romantically involved with more than one person. Alex, Michael, and Jamie are in a polyamorous relationship. You see, now you're getting into relationships. And let me take a quick break. I'm going to answer this call, and I'll be right back.
Exile. The Knights of Malta. Maverick News. Join us. The world is watching.
First in it.
the sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks, we are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, so I'm back. That was actually someone that I was hoping to bring on as a guest to speak to this tonight, but not enough time to prepare. We just couldn't get connected in enough time, so maybe we'll bring him on another night. This issue will likely explode in the days ahead. The thing is, like, if you can't understand why this would upset some people, then, I think you just are out of touch with where we are as a community and a country and a society, and New Brunswick probably as a province. Of course it's going to upset some people. That's why you can't just take this kind of material and just throw it into a school without at least warning people. Maybe it's appropriate. I don't know. Like, at a minimum, you get to this level of discussion with this kind of material, you, I think, need to make it optional at best, and you need to you need to make parents aware. You need to make families aware. You can't just go off and do this kind of thing on your own. This backfires. This is why people get upset. This is why you've got so much pushback right now against the LGBTQS plus community. It's because they're just pushing ahead recklessly, I would say, with no sensitivity, a real lack of sensitivity and respect for people with a differing viewpoint on sexuality, on morals, on religion. No regard. So you got to find middle ground on this stuff and be respectful of other people. You can't just start throwing it in front of people's kids and not expect that you're not gonna get some pushback. That's my opinion. Here I am editorializing first story of the night, and I don't think I need to get into this too much more. You can see that this is quite explicit, and there's other material on this website with this organization. Explore and learn, share with us, Relationship blogs. See, this is about relationships, relationship videos. This isn't just health information. It goes way beyond that. Be in Control web app, Kids Help Phone. So, they're encouraging kids to phone them to get the kind of advice that a lot of parents think should be given probably at home. You might not agree with that, but a lot of parents disagree with you. So you have to be respectful. I'm on the side here with the Premier on this one, honestly. And the other reason I'm taking this position is because, not even that I have to take a position, but I am going to take it because this actually hurts the LGBTQS plus community. Because it puts the whole community at odds with other people who have a differing perspective, a different point of view. So, better learn to temper these things, or you're going to be in for a heap of conflict in the months, years ahead. Just saying. We're already getting it, right? This is why you have all the drag queen story time stuff too, man. I'm just telling you, that stuff. It's another example, and it's all government funded, and they're just shoving it in the faces of people, shoving it in people's face. You do that, you're gonna get pushback. Stay with me. Joseph Lenard will join us on the other side of this to talk about what's going on with these wars and information warfare.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, let's bring Joseph in. Hello, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. I was trying to take a nap, couldn't fall asleep, but hopefully just the rest means I'm a little more with it than when I talked to you this afternoon.
Well, you were pretty with it. We had a good conversation leading up to what we're going to talk about tonight. Wow. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see either of the speeches from RFK Jr. or Donald Trump at the Libertarian Convention, but what a raucous crowd! I'll tell you, these libertarians, they're quite a bunch.
Yeah, I call them libertarians. It's like there are classical liberals and there are leftists. Some liberals morphed off to complete ideological leftists. I think that I know some great libertarians, but I also know some libertarians, and it's all about when and where and how often can I get high. So, so it depends on what libertarian you're talking about. And in past, yes, so I've seen some of their conventions. They can get out there. I remember, I think it may have been a couple years ago, 2020, where they insisted no U.S. flags be on stage, and it's like there was a big brouhaha about that. And that to me was the liberal part, the libertarian part, the more almost leftists of that group taking over, and the anti-Americanism, unfortunately, thread that's now infested almost everything everywhere.
Yeah. I absolutely see what you are talking about. I get it. They are a motley crew, these libertarians. They are dysfunctional as heck. They have people with such a wide range of political views that I don't even know how they call the party the Libertarian Party. It's the mishmash party. You've got people like anarchists. You have some homeless conservatives. You have, I'd say, probably some real liberal fascists. You have a lot of woke people. You have homeless Democrats who are also pretty fascistic, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, 20 years ago, I've always been a Republican. I've stayed a Republican. But as you know, we've discussed, I don't wear the ultra red partisan hat all the time. I was involved with the libertarians years ago. And as I said, I still have many libertarian friends and those that agree with things. But again, it's not what it was 20 years ago.
It certainly seems to have become an incubator for anti-Americanism.
Just like The Fascocrats Party, yeah. Those are, again, the libertarians wing that I call them, yeah. I hate to paint with broad brushes, right? I don't want to call them all that and make that distinction. There's good and bad in everything. It's like online on occasion, the twatter attention span, as I call it. There are snowflakes on both the left and the right. They're emotional. They can't defend their position, their feeling-based position, because they're as shallow as my bird bath on the front lawn, right? A thesis, you expect me to actually defend my position and why I feel this way? Can't do it. I can respect someone, any position, if they have some thought in why they have that position. You can actually write a thesis and point to things. This is how and why I derive my conclusion.
So they had both RFK Jr. and Donald Trump come to speak to them, both of them trying to secure the Libertarian nomination, to shore up support in a presidential election that is extremely tight, especially in some of the key states. And so there was a lot of drama surrounding this. First, RFK Jr. spoke, less drama surrounding that, because I think he was welcomed a little bit, more warmly than Trump was. But then last night, we ran the full speech because I knew it was going to be a rocky road for Donald Trump as he stepped up to the podium. And sure enough, it was a combination of boos and jeers and cheers, because there were a bunch of MAGA supporters there, and heckling, and there were people in the audience in the Kennedy camp that had squeaky rubber chickens that they were squeaking, and they invited Trump there largely, I think, just to get him in front, and so they could protest his positions on things right in his face. So, and then but I thought that he handled it quite well. Here he is speaking to the crowd. Oh, I lost there it is there. Here's Trump last night. Some people are saying that he was insulting the libertarians by saying this, but he was telling them, even if you don't nominate me, if you nominate me, he said, I will actually put some libertarians in my cabinet. Okay? And not sure exactly what that means or what positions would be filled by libertarians, but he put it on the table. And then he also said that if you want to win, you need to join forces with me. Otherwise, you're going to lose like you always do. Here's what he said.
That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that.
Nominate him.
Keep getting your 3% every 4 years. The reasons for doing so. That's not.
Okay. So I thought that was just some cold, hard truth. Okay. I didn't really take it as an insult. What do you think?
Well, some will certainly take it as an insult, but I mean, it is indeed factual. I give him credit. It was an opportunity, and I think the libertarians really wanted it just as a publicity stunt for them to, hey, we're actually a thing,
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
We actually do have conventions too, It's like, so doing it does it do good or bad? I'm open to, again, respecting both arguments, and it's gonna depend entirely. But I give him credit for doing it. I'm glad he did it. You know, I don't know what much else to say. You're given the opportunity, take it and see what happens. If nothing else, it shows the point that some Trump people want to try to make. Like the rally in the Bronx. He will go anywhere and talk to anybody. He's not afraid. He's not just about shoring up a particular base, right? So that's a positive point to want to dwell on.
Yeah, I thought that he was taking a big risk, and I said last night, and I'll say it again, I thought he did actually very well to be standing in front of a mostly hostile crowd. I thought that he handled it with finesse, skill. I was thinking just prior to the speech, they might piss him off, and he might get angry or something at the podium, right? He might tell them all to go F themselves or something, like knowing what Trump's like. But no, I think he just took it all in stride, let it roll off his back. I think he handled it very well. Today, especially the Biden team, they're trying to paint him as being booed off the stage and, paint it in a very negative light. But no, I don't think so. I thought that he handled it with real skill myself.
Yeah. Again, yeah.
Made the best of a bad situation.
I get where you're coming from. Yeah, because he, unlike Biden, who has to, or you get manure spewed, with Trump, he tends to sometimes go too off the cuff too often, and he can get that inner 6-year-old. I'm supporting Trump, but I've said over and over and over again, I'm not a cultist. I recognize his piss poor inner 6-year-old child mentality at times that can come out and be a problem at times. So, but I'm not voting for him based on his personality. Like above my head, right? Principles, not personalities. I'm voting on policy, and I back up what I say based on logic, reason, common sense, and results, fruit that is born. You reap what you sow. Don't give me this left wing, but our intention was manure, because 9 times out of 10, a leftist is lying about their intention.
We're going to talk more about that tonight, actually. We are.
Yeah. But what have you, like when Franklin was asked, what have you brought us? A republic if you can keep it, right? What do the fascocrats brought us? They sow rotten shit, and they try to get us to eat the rotten fruit from them shit seeds all the time. So no, tell me that's an apple when I can see it's a stinking pile of dog manure you're trying to peddle me.
So after all that, after bringing these two guys over, Friday, RFK Jr. spoke, kind of stayed out of the weeds, didn't touch on any real of the really, really volatile issues. Then last night, Trump had his shot to try and win some votes. So all of this and all the drama, all the blah, blah, blah. And how does it turn out for these two guys? Well, Trump was disqualified from being on the ballot, apparently, because he didn't file nomination papers properly or something. Anyway, so they brought him in there, had him go through all of that, and then they said, no, you don't even qualify, so you can't be the nominee. And then RFK Jr. was he was eliminated from contention today in the first ballot. So it was like he received let's see here. He received support from just 19 delegates, which is about 2% of the vote. 2% from these libertarians.
Yeah, I think it was more, like I say, a publicity stunt on their part. And, you know, I've been involved in politics in the U.S. since 1978. I'm not quite sure. I'd really have to do a deep dive, which I have not done to this point. How would that work if you had the nomination of two different parties?
I don't know.
You appearing on the ballot twice?
I guess you just have to pick which party you go with in a given state. That's why RFK Jr. wanted the Libertarian nomination, because he wanted ballot access in all the states, right? So
it certainly made more sense from RFK's, or shall we discuss about the potential of the JFK being Trump's nominee again, like we did before. Junior, the one still missing and dead. Yeah, remember when we talked about that? You know, this is all just nuttiness. But I kind of say the JFK Jr. thing tongue in cheek, but with a serious point is a lot of the libertarians are the way out there conspiracy type people.
Yeah, so let's see. What do we have here? I'm just seeing if we have... I don't know what the current results are. I'm going to look it up here. Libertarian Convention. See if we can get the most up-to-date info. Still just... here we go. Here's the most up-to-date info. Trump is saying he absolutely would have gotten the Libertarian Party convention if not already being the presumptive GOP nominee. I don't think so. They're a crazy bunch of people. So, but what about the results here so far? So we know that Kennedy off in the first ballot. So who's the winner? I don't know if they have a winner yet.
Joe Jorgensen or Juggeson or whomever that was the last time. Who was the nominee for so many years after years after years in a row? I don't even remember now. And I remember for a while they tried to do a ex-Democrat, ex-Republican unity ticket type thing a few times. That flopped. It didn't go anywhere either. Which is why they needed the publicity stunt.
I don't know. I'm not seeing the most up-to-date info.
But I mean,
here.
any real libertarians, the actual, you know, more libertarian platform type, because again, I mean, like Republicans, you got Tinos, Rhinos, and actual conservative, or as I call myself, a constitutionalist conservative Republican, right? More platform, libertarian platform type ones. Rand Paul, Ron Paul, here in Michigan, even Justin Amash, libertarian, who run as Republicans, have a chance to win. But Justin Amash, we kicked out basically last year because his ties to the CCP got exposed. And now that idiot's trying to run for a U.S. Senate seat. It's like, are you kidding? You resigned in disgrace. And now you think you get the GOP Senate nomination? You're out of your mind.
And, you know, I just think this whole thing was a little bit surreal to see Trump up there on the stage with that banner, that logo behind him, which says ungovernable. It just seems so off-brand for him, right? It's just,
some on the left would certainly the deplorable tag and all that. A lot on the left would probably say MAGA people are ungovernable, because you mentioned in the libertarian mix are some anarchists, true anarchists,
Yep.
true ultra right wingers. Because again, the spectrum is the ultra right, which I am not. I get a big chuckle. Call me ultra right. I am not a zero government, every man, woman, and child. You hear that lightning? I got a thunderstorm going on here. No government whatsoever. Every man, woman, child for themselves. Good luck. And nobody I associate with is that. But that is the true, firm ultra right. No governance. And then there's the left, which is the communism, the fascism, the monarchy, socialism. One or a small ruling elite cabal have total and full control over everyone else. So some on the left try to claim to be anarchists like Antifa, use the anarchy flag or logo. They're not associating really, like the name Antifa. They're not anti-fascists, they're fascists. They don't want they don't want anarchy. They don't want no government. What they want is to use anarchist associated tactics to destroy the current government in hopes of the communist, fascist, socialist utopia being reined in. But the anarchy symbol and movement is generally associated with Russia. So they're not associating with anarchism, but that anarchy symbol is a Russian symbol. So it's a deceptive thing. They associate with Moscow communists, not Russian anarchists. But, because people don't really understand, like I say, the left trying to claim Nazis were a right-wing thing. No, they were not for limited government.
No, they were not. And speaking of people on the left being dishonest, I just saw a video 3 days ago from someone who had actually been on this program before. I won't name them, but they produced a history video talking about the myths of Nazism, saying that the Nazis were not socialists. Because I'm like, what? What?
I had an idiot on Truth Social just the other day, and I lit him a new one, of course. And I wrote at beforeitsnews.com under J. Lenard Detroit a piece called Odds and Ends. And in there, I cut and pasted my thread with him. It's like, hey, idiot, National Socialist Deutschland Arbeiter Party. It's actually in the name twice. Socialist is right in the fucking name. Hitler, in the early years, said, "We are proud socialists." I showed that, the image of that quote. And it is only later, once Hitler was given full Führer Chancellor powers, that they officially became fascist. But Arbeiter Party, Workers' Party, Communist Workers' Party, to draw some of them in. So really, it's in the name twice. But you have idiots trying to claim they aren't socialists. It's just utterly unbelievable. Yeah, no, we're not. Although you do have to, I made the point earlier, Antifa isn't anti-fascist, right? So now if you want to try to make the point, yeah, they called themselves socialists in the name, but they weren't really. Okay, you could kind of go down that road a little, maybe, but not really.
The thing is, it's like government has progressed to the point now where if you want to understand what a government program is really all about, look at the name and then just apply the opposite logic. If you want to know what some of these political action groups or activist groups like Antifa are really all about, look at the name and then just flip it upside down, and then you know what they really are. If you want to know what the truth is when it comes to information that they're sharing online through information campaigns, propaganda, just listen to what they say and then flip it upside down, and that'll be the truth because they're freaking lying to you.
Yeah,
Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, let's throw out the Hitler and the Nazi thing. All right, look at Franco in Spain. Look at El Duce Mussolini in Italy. El Duce black shirts. So remove the Hitlerian brown shirts. Let's use Mussolini and the black shirts as example of fascists. And Antifa is an exact image of El Duce black shirts doing the same things, saying the same things. So this notion that they are actually anti-fascist. What bothers me the most is that there are so many morons that just don't know anything. They don't know. They don't want to know. They don't care that they don't know. You know, they just want their delusional bubble that keep falling for this crap. I mean, it's Joseph Goebbels style stuff, which the Nazis got from the Wilson administration in the U.S. regarding propagandizing and tell a lie. And if you're telling a lie, tell a big one and keep repeating it. Sometimes hang it off a grain of truth so that more and more dumb people will eventually accept it.
Well, there's a ton of that kind of information out there, and we're going to actually show you some of that tonight. Dragon will be joining us in about 5 minutes' time to talk about who's really behind these pro-Palestine campus protests and encampments. He's been digging into that, so he has some information to share with us in that regard, and this is going to tie right into everything we've just been talking about. Wow, you know, it really is upside down world, and I don't like what I'm seeing. It bothers me a great deal. But before we get into that, I did want to, you mentioned that you have a storm rolling through there. And that's a nice segue into what I wanted to just update people on is this big storm with tornadoes that ripped through Texas overnight.
And Oklahoma, Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah. So let me get you the most up-to-date info on that. I have some video here too that we can share with people. Computer's slowing down a bit here.
If you didn't hear crack of thunder, I'm amazed. The microphone is even better than I thought it was. Cutting out background.
Yeah, it is cutting in.
But there was a big blast.
It is storm season. So let me see if I can... Here we go. Here's the storm footage. And I guess a lot of the damage in Texas, and quite a few people killed.
Yeah, serious stuff. We've talked movies before, and not for nothing, the follow-up to Twisters, is coming out soon, just in time for tornado season to make everybody even more paranoid than they normally are. But I loved the first movie. I'm looking forward to the second. And because, you know, it's some people just don't take these things seriously at times. A tornado is so powerful, but they are so hit and miss. There's little you can do if that tornado's here on their path.
Yeah, so we have confirmed 15 dead so far, and at least 400,000 people without power. So serious storm. Tornadoes. They battered the South and the Great Plains over Memorial Day weekend. Residents in Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, hit with twisters, heavy winds, and big storm also through Oklahoma. It also resulted in the delay of the running of the Indianapolis 500 by 4 hours, where spectators are asked to take shelter, evacuate.
Now that's one problem. What about up there? I thought I saw something, but I didn't look any further into it, about the Canadian wildfires having kind of flared up massively again. Is that true, or is that just something I saw wrong?
No, they've been, they started a little earlier this year than they did last year, which was a record year for wildfires. It has been a very low snow winter, so there isn't a lot of ground moisture. Some of those fires continue to actually burn underground all winter because there was so much heat generated last year. So yeah, we have wildfires already, a serious problem in Alberta and British Columbia, and we're just getting started. So that's true.
When you do not manage the land, you eco-tards, there's more fuel for the fires.
So this is more footage from Texas. Wow. Wicked.
And it's weird how, I was just going to make the point. One house can be clobbered, a house spared, and then the next house over to that clobbered. It's like, finger of God stuff. Here, but not there. Amazing.
That was in,
stuff.
that was in Montague, Cook, Denton, and Collin counties in North Texas, where 250 homes approximately were completely destroyed by that tornado. Now, we have tornadoes up here in Ontario, Canada, where I live as well, but I've never seen anything that destructive. That is unbelievable.
I remember it was many decades ago. I think, I could be wrong, Kitchener was almost wiped out up there. I remember because I used to vacation over there all the time. And that might not have been the right town, but it was one town, and it was indeed close to the front. And when driving, you could see, it was just a wasteland.
Yeah, I covered quite a few tornadoes over the years. The one that sticks in my mind the most is one in a small town called Outrage, Ontario. Real devastation there. Beautiful little small town, and it just ripped the heart out of the downtown. This is a before and after shot at a restaurant. That was before.
Yeah.
This is after.
It looks like bombs hit it. Yep.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
It looks like a scene out of Ukraine.
Yeah. Unbelievable, eh? Here's some aerial footage. This is Lake Ray Roberts is the place that it's called. And this is from NBC Dallas Fort Worth. Bring this up. And again, just really devastating stuff. Wickedly powerful.
Yeah. Now is a good time to mention, my terrorstrikes.info/charity page. Now, if you've got a little extra, which most people don't in these currently hard times, but if you've got a little extra to give to a Samaritan's Purse, I would pick them over the Red Cross these days. The Red Cross used to be wonderful. I loved it when Elizabeth Dole was in charge, but I don't know that I trust them these days. I wouldn't give to the Red Cross except to maybe donate to a Red Cross blood drive, but pick a Samaritan's Purse or a Tim Tebow Foundation or others like are on my terrorstrikes.info/charity page that are vetted that, at 95%, very little goes to it through our tailpipe emissions, because again, it's been warmer in the past. Remember, why is Greenland called Greenland? Hello, morons. It used to be a lot warmer. It was green. We are still at the tail end, really, of the cooling period. Some natural warming going on, absolutely, but it is natural cyclical warming. It's not me and Rick in our SUV.
Wow, just incredible footage. Okay, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll add Dragon to the conversation on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I don't think you guys have met before, Joseph. I think this is your first encounter with the man sitting right now in the dragon's lair.
Hello, guys. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dragon. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is this just kind of is a great segue, because we've been talking about misrepresentation, kind of deception, upside down world propaganda, and you've been out there at these pro-Palestine protests, encampments on universities, and I know you've been doing some work to kind of figure out who these folks are. And I know, well, first of all, I'll let you guys say hello to each other.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Dragon.
Yeah. Hello. Hello, Joseph.
Yeah.
How are you tonight?
Good. Like I always say, could always be better, could often be worse, right? But I'm glad Rick brought you on to breathe some fire truth to the audience.
Well, that's well said, because I breathe fire and a good lot of truth when I can find some. Well, I was at McGill and also UCAM, as you know, and I brought actually some brochure from UCAM, and this is
just
what
so
I
people,
found.
just so people know what UCAM is, because you're in Montreal, and a lot of people are watching in the United States. Probably half our audience is U.S. based. So, can you explain what these universities are?
Yeah, the UCAM actually is the University of Quebec in Montreal. So, as you know, Quebec has one university that has kind of popped up everywhere, like McGill also. So we have one in Montreal, and there's a campment of the Palestinian around there. So this is what we get today. We have two campmen in Montreal of pro-Palestinian, and they are kind of well organized, as we can say, and the organization, I will probably say, go beyond what we think, and as the expression go, there's much that meets the eyes.
So you didn't have to dig very deep to find out who's sort of involved in these protests, because they had tables set up, they were handing out pamphlets. But the mainstream media, even independent media, not really telling us who these folks really are. So the public is left with this impression that these are just organic protests, that these are just pro-Palestinian people who want to free Palestine, that they're just students, but all you have to do is go over and pick up one of their pamphlets and tell us what you found out.
Well, to bring more fire to what Joseph said earlier, actually, what's going on is that, well, how can I put that? We can even go back to 1910, right? With what happened with the CNT, right? Sorry? Okay, so yeah, the
You're
CNT
freezing
was...
up. Rick, is he freezing for you, or?
No, it's on your end there, Joseph. It's on your end.
Oh, okay.
So just go ahead there, Greg, and you're okay.
All right. So yeah, there's the CNT was a confederation of labor worker in Spain, actually, that was happening in 1910. So the Liberation Federation was kind of anarchist in a way. Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about some organization
syndicate
that is there, and it's a political activist group or party or whatever, and it's called what, CMT?
CNT, yeah.
CNT?
And CNT.
Confederación Nacional del Trabajo.
This is the one.
Yep.
And they are still actually still on the ground, still operating. So, and they have a lot of tentacle, if you will. Have a lot of branches. So, yeah, they are socialists, basically working class type of people. So you got what Joseph told you a little bit earlier, which they are a lot of organized people in the working and other sphere of the walk of life, and trying to gather as much people as they can into their midst, to create some socialist type of economic and disruption, revolution, so on. You have so that's what it is.
Dragon, do you agree with me on this? Now, we have a term in the U.S., right? Grassroots, as opposed to this, which is AstroTurf, to give they're fake grassroots. They're put up. But I wrote a piece and did a show on the issue is never the issue. It could be about Made-Up-A-Stan, or Christianistan, or Buddhististan. It doesn't matter. It's really not even anti-Jew entirely, although there is a lot of the anti-Semitism strain in it, but it's just the excuse to be anti-Western. Do you agree with that?
I will agree, actually. If I'm not mistaken, they were Christian. So that's the thing. Christian moving to socialism.
Yeah, and you're kind of talking about you ran into some folks from CLAC, the Christian Labor Association of Canada, which is a union, right? They're a union organization,
Also,
Christian-based. They were also there, I guess. So you have this range of political and labor groups there, but these are primarily, is it fair to say, from what you've seen, left-wing, leftist organizations?
totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And they are well organized, as you could see. I mean, I've been pushed back pretty easily. They are well playing their game. So, I mean, they are better organized than I am. That's for sure.
Yeah. Interesting, too, because we've seen during your visits to these two campuses that when you're there, they restrict your access. They don't want to talk to you. They scream bloody murder when they say that their free speech rights are being violated. They think that they sit there and say that they have the right to be there to protest and express their points of view. But then when you show up, you're not allowed on the property, which they don't own. They restrict your access. They block your camera. They came at you with the Antifa-style black umbrellas, a small brigade of those folks pushing you back off the front lawn of the university. This is the, well, how do you describe that behavior? It's a form of censorship. It's a violation of your rights. It's like rights for them, but not for you. It's very hypocritical.
The right 4D, huh?
Yeah.
This is what it is basically. I was denied of my own right. Actually, I did put some footage from 3 days ago on my YouTube channel, which is what I've done a social kind of experiment back there. I went with my camera and my gimbal and just shooting, right? And I'm like, well, remember the other night when I was on that, basically this is the night. So I was getting there, trying to speak with some people into the camp or some organizer, and they were asking me for who I'm working with. So I showed them on my phone who you were, the guy I'm working with, and with the logo on my shirt. So basically it was blatant, right? Yeah. And I go there and they go like, no, you cannot go there. I don't want you to see that, but I can show you those banner here. But no, those here, and try not to shoot those graffiti on this side, kind of thing. So yeah, I was unable to do a proper job.
Like that's where these guys lose me. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, they don't get the irony, and they still don't understand. Palestinian was created by a Roman emperor as a slur based on Philistine from the Bible, of these people that Rome had no fondness for, occupying Judaish land, and Rome had no fondness for the Jews either. So they were happy to have them go at each other. But as you said, land they don't own. They call Israel occupiers and colonizers, but yet what are they doing? Occupying property that isn't their own. Hello, idiot.
And here's
I will call that probably the eyes for an eye, tooth for a tooth kind of mentality here.
So here's a shot of the one brochure that you picked up, or maybe a couple of them, right? Is this one and the same, or are these two different ones?
No, this is the one. This is the only brochure that I give you a few snapshots of it.
Okay.
It's all from the same.
So it says on autonomous zones, the 2012 student strike in, I can't read that. Spanish
I got it.
Revolution.
Yeah.
And they're talking about what revolution looks like.
Yeah, they're basically giving. Well, this brochure, okay, from the part that I've read, and I actually read it all of it. But the thing is that from what I get, it's basically a notebook, if you will, of how to do a revolution. That's basically it.
We're so peaceful. We don't want to overthrow the government or anything. We just want to have a revolution.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, they're using the anarchist tactics and the anarchist terms, but that's not really what they're about. Again, as you said, Dragon, right? Rules for thee, but not for me. We want full-on left-wing fascist government. We want anarchism for ourselves. No rules apply to us, but our rules apply to you. That's not true anarchism. That's fascism, communism, socialism, whatever.
Exactly. This is what it is.
I've been saying from the very beginning. I said we're under attack. If you don't recognize what this is, we are under attack. That's what these protests are. The protests in the streets, these protests on campus. This is a form. It is a form of warfare. This is what it is. Like it or not.
Well, Alexa Lavoie actually did a good point by bringing the other day two ladies actually was Jewish, and they were saying the same thing actually. So
it's terrorism. Let's call it what it is. It's attempted terrorism. Antifa, the black-lying Marxists, it's all about pressuring, coercion. I got a meme I share a lot. Democrat Party promoting violence for 200 years, right? All the way back to Trail of Tears, the concentration camps under FDR, everything bad that the left claims why America isn't great. Guess what? Happened under you moron Democrats. Slavery, segregation, Jim Crow laws, all those things that claim America isn't good, you did it.
And also, there's also part of it that goes from beyond with the BLM.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rioting, burning, looting. It's all, again, terrorism to try to get you to conform. There's the word I was looking for. It's all about coercion and getting you to conform, getting you to cower in the corner and surrender. And every bit of ground you surrender may be ground you never get back. You cannot be silent. This silence is violence. And no, your silence is complicity, and you are a useful idiot to these Marxist, Islamo-fascist supporting people. And the issue was never the issue. Again, it could be made up a stand full of pink polka-dotted purple people. Any excuse to blame Western culture.
There's real truth in what you're saying, Joseph. There's absolute real truth in it.
Because here in Montreal, they are chanting about the decolonization, which is basically because we have colonized other countries. So voila, you got it right there.
That's human nature. It's happened from the beginning of time, like the idiot lefts in the United States. It's all stolen Native American land. Hey, idiots. The Native Americans warred amongst themselves forever before we got here, stealing each other's lands also. They did it too. So trying to claim they're some pure virtuous peoples is nonsense. Again, Trail of Tears. Ring a bell? That was a Democrat president. So if you want to talk about abuse of Native Americans, I'm happy to go there. Did it happen? Absolutely. Should we try to make amends to some degree for it? Absolutely. But only if you're willing to have the honest discussion how and why it happened. And again, it's human nature. Always will be. Another dominant force taking over things of others throughout all the time.
Well, it's not really about having an honest, open discussion about these issues these days. It's about political correctness. It's about cancel culture. If you dare to speak about certain things, they'll They will cancel you. They'll attack you. They'll make sure that you can't work. Right? They'll find ways to try to destroy you. Dragon, what are these other pages here? I don't know if I have them up in the right order or anything here for you, but is this stuff you need to make reference to tonight? Or is this?
Yeah, those were kind of references that I would have hoped that they were big enough for the people to look at real quick. But yeah, there's a lot of reference here about the Black Lives Matter or what happened back in the days since 1910, actually, because it goes beyond that.
You have this circled. It says revolution call on page 2. Can you find that and read that to us? What does that say?
Yeah, I can find that. Actually, it's okay. The first page says anarchism. An anarchist is someone who has an anarchist goal and use anarchist tactics. So, all that we know. These goals are free society without hierarchy. The tactics are combative, direct action, and solidarity aimed toward revolution and autonomy to each member of our struggle. And, well, yeah, basically what it is, it says here, this pamphlet will explore the accomplishment of our revolution, the way each revolution was executed, and the action on the part of their militants that allowed them to happen. The conclusion provide lesson from these studies for the people looking to organize a revolution in areas like so-called Montreal.
And what does it say there on the bottom of?
Yeah, on the bottom of page 2, it's the final page synthesize the lesson for the movements, individual illustration are provide for how a revolution could unfold in Montreal. So basically what I have circled on is a revolution call. So that's my analysis from the first page.
I would agree with the use of anarchist tactics part. It is total fantasy that they have actual anarchist goals. Like in the U.S., David Horowitz has a book, Barack Obama's Rules for Revolution, the Alinsky Model. Would anyone associate Barack Obama as a not small government, but a no government guy, wanting no government and every man, woman, and child for themselves? Yeah, it's all a ruse. They want to just undermine the current government with anarchist tactics and a goal towards full tyranny.
Destabilize everything. Rip it apart, burn it to the ground.
I found a little something, and I got to dig into that, but, you know, who's kind of behind their money-making, I think? USAID. Which is, but I got to find out that, but it's probable, so, I mean, don't quote me on that. It's still on the...
Well, it wouldn't surprise me with all the communist, fascist infiltration of our deep state here in the United States. I mean, look at all those organizations indeed funding our own demise because, again, they want... And again, this isn't the 30s. There is no real difference.
But I can be wrong.
Yeah, there is no difference.
That's the thing. I can be wrong, but...
Yeah, there is no difference between communists, fascists, and socialists anymore. It's just a different color banner.
Now, the brochure you shared, that's just one group. There are a bunch of groups involved in these things. From what I've seen, they are primarily, almost exclusively, on the left of the political spectrum, and that includes the fascists, okay? That includes them. And a lot of this legwork has already been done for us. There have been many reports out in the public now exploring who is actually behind these protests, who's funding them. Here's just one article from Politico talking about this exact thing, and people will be surprised, I think, at some of the information that's out there that we're sharing with you here now. Pro-Palestinian protesters are backed by a surprising source, Biden's biggest donors.
That's not surprising to me. No surprise to me.
Now I'm asking myself, did I point out a little scratch on the scab somewhere?
The donors include some of the biggest names in Democratic circles: Soros, Rockefeller, and Pritzker, according to a Politico analysis.
And it wouldn't surprise me if Gates was in there also.
You know, and it's like, but they'll flip that around and, make it look like it's the other way around, right? That's what they always do. They accuse you of what they are doing, and it is upside down world, and they've been very effective at it. Says several other groups involved in pro-Palestinian protests are backed by a foundation funded by Susan and Nick Pritzker, heir to the Hyatt hotel empire, and supporters of Biden and numerous Democratic campaigns, including $6,600 to the Biden Victory Fund a few months ago and more than $300,000 during the 2020 campaign. I hear a lot of talk about AIPAC, and the Jews, and it's like, but, this stuff here, man, go to Qatar, look at how the people running Hamas, the Hamas leaders are living a life of luxury. The money is flowing, folks, and all you have to do is just spend 2 minutes, do a little search. You'll start to find the truth.
Like all the aid going into Gaza being intercepted, 90% of it at least, by Hamas for Hamas's purposes. They don't care if the Gazans starve. They don't care if the Gazans get blown up. In fact, of course, as terrorists often do, they are using them as human shields. They purposely build their headquarters in a hospital. They purposely put their tunnels under public schools.
And look, this investigation it says here the Tides Foundation, funded by the Pritzkers, has also supported the Adala Justice Project, which has also been part of protests at Columbia University, which was the flashpoint for a lot of this. The group wrote on X, formerly Twitter, that universities are hedge funds deeply embedded with weapons manufacturers. Tides also supports Palestine Legal, a legal defense fund that offers legal assistance to students mobilizing against genocide. In other words, when you get arrested for misbehaving, they'll come and provide the legal support that you need as you wind your way through court. So that's what they're there for. And, I'll say this too, Joseph. It strikes me that these protesters demanding that the universities pull all funding from weapons manufacturers, like, what do they want? They want the United States to disarm. And imagine what would happen to the United States if suddenly we were to disarm. And I've been saying for a long time that these protests in the streets and the information warfare that we're seeing over here too is designed to undermine public support for military spending, for support of Israel, funding for weapons, funding for Ukraine, because if you can undermine public support for it, undermine confidence in the government itself, if you can cut off the funding, you can win the war without dropping bombs or firing shots. It's a different kind of warfare. This is a form of fifth generation warfare. And a lot of this is designed to cut off funding. They want these protesters, who are anarchists, far left, liberal fascists, anti-American, anti-West, anti-capitalist because they are communists. They want the funding pulled from the military companies. They don't want us they want us defenseless because they want to tear it down.
Yeah, and part of this, too, is you'll hear them talking BDS, right? BDS, divest from Israel, right? And did you notice, it's also an irony and kind of funny, that in the United States, some of the universities are finally cracking down. And what brought it on? all the BDS talk. The college campus elites are with you in spirit, but when it comes to their endowments and their investments, which a good amount is in Israel, Israeli companies and interests. Oh no, now we're done. You don't mess with our slush fund.
You know, a lot of what I see going on just defies logic, and yet people are being sold this narrative about it's always the fault of the United States, always the fault of Israel. You know, we have to absorb all the blame. Doesn't matter what happens. It's either because we've done it to ourselves or we've allowed someone to do it. And here's a post just from today where people, I guess, in the Tel Aviv area at a beach are running for their lives, and the post says, here, let me bring it up. Says, we have now reached the Israel is allowing itself to be attacked so it can justify continued defense action stage of the debate. It can't be Hamas's fault that these rockets they fired are hitting their intended targets. It's Israel's fault, and it's a great conspiracy.
Right, we're launching missiles. We admit we had launched missiles, but it's your fault that your Iron Dome didn't stop them.
Right, so somebody's calling that out here. And then here's the original post. It says, World War III alert, beach bathers in Tel Aviv forced to run for cover as Iron Dome failure, in quotation marks, allows Hamas missiles to rain down on Israel. So one of the most advanced defense systems in human history just randomly decided to fail one day? Well, I mean, who fired the rockets to begin with?
Now, again,
so this is Israel's fault? Who fired the rockets or the missiles? It wasn't Israel firing the rockets. So they've got incoming here and they're running away.
Now let's examine that, though. You know, they're not accusing false flag here, that the IDF actually fired them and they let them hit. Yeah. They're admitting Hamas sent them, but so let's go down that conspiracy rabbit hole of they allowed it, right? Like FDR, I am of the notion, I agree with, indeed, FDR wanted into World War II, and he knew the only way it would happen was to get an attack. So putting all those assets at Pearl Harbor and making such an open target, inviting an attack, there can be some validity to that argument. Can you prove it is another thing. But, right, like FDR engaged, enacted sanctions, the oil embargo against Japan, knowing, again, there was so much anti-war sentiment that the only way the U.S. would draw into World War II officially was if we were attacked. So I'm open to the concept, but that isn't true all the time. So did Israel allow that to happen? I don't know. But again, to your point, Rick, it doesn't happen if the terrorists aren't lobbing missiles. And you morons, I got an idiot across the street's got a sign, peace and justice for Palestine. Hey, morons, there was peace. You had self-rule until you attacked Israel on October 7th. You had self-governance. And Palestinian state, you rejected it 5 separate times. It wasn't the Jews that blocked it. It was the Arabs that blocked it 5 separate times. And from the river to the sea, you don't want your own Palestinian state, a 2-state solution. River to the sea means Palestine is all of that, and there are no Jews anywhere to be found there.
It just defies logic to me. It's like they fire rockets, but it's Israel's fault. You know, it's amazing, actually, that Israel is still there with the thousands of rockets that have been fired at Israel over the years. Just a constant bombardment. But that's supposed to be just okay. That's just normal. They've got the Iron Dome. What are they complaining about? Can you imagine? I can't imagine living someplace where you're under almost constant attack with rockets being fired, and you have to rely on technology to intercept these incoming rockets or missiles so that you don't freaking die.
That's like expecting the United States and us in Michigan on our side of the Detroit River to put up with Rick and his buddies launching rockets from the Ontario side of the river on a daily basis. Now, again, the other point is, too, why I don't take a definitive side on whether the conspiracy theory could be correct or not. I acknowledge in history sometimes those things have happened, but no system is perfect. The Iron Dome isn't perfect. The Patriot battery systems aren't perfect. Look at us in Iraq. We had the Patriot batteries, but our troops still got hit. Nothing is perfect.
That is for sure. And, you know, people sit there and complain about the money that is sent to Israel. Do you know why the money is sent to Israel? Because they're under constant attack and they have to intercept these stupid rockets all the time. So you have the Iron Dome and you need the munitions to shoot these things down constantly. It's
And
like, did it
it
rain
ain't-
today? What do you mean rain? Like in rain or like in like missiles coming down?
And it ain't cheap.
No.
Those are very sophisticated things to, as during the Reagan days, Star Wars system where this all began as a concept. The literal interpretation, or as it was stated, a bullet to hit a bullet. That takes a lot of talent and precision and expensive computer power in each battery to do that. This is
And-
sophisticated, expensive stuff.
Expensive is like an understatement. Now, a lot of what goes on with the Iron Dome is not like a Patriot system, but you take one shot with a Patriot missile. Do you know how much a Patriot missile costs? $1 million. Every time they shoot off one of those things, it's $1 million US. 1 million. One of those Patriot battery installations is $1 billion. $1 billion. So, like, you wonder where the money goes. There's the money right there, and that's entirely defensive. Okay,
But that is the only thing that can counter, unfortunately, Hamas's $100 thrown together rockets, right? Israel literally was supplying you your water, or trying to, but Hamas was digging up the pipes to make the rockets with. You know, you wonder why you have nothing in Gaza. Your own leadership that you elected, and again, had autonomous rule until you attacked Israel. Israel was gone from Gaza. You brought them back via your tech. So you want to complain about not having anything? Blame the terrorists you elected that are intercepting everything that Israel was willing to try and help you get, but they stole it so they could then attack the charitable people trying to help you.
yeah. What do you think,
Can
there,
I
Dragon?
just
Anything?
Well, yeah, actually, you remember that, you know, we were saying about McGill divestment thing, where is this Weidman is, right?
Divestment.
Well, I was speaking about Lockheed Martin, right? Well, guess who's doing those Patriot missile? Lockheed.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, look, I'd rather not spend any money on weapons as well, right? But the reality is it's a jungle out there, and like literally a jungle. In once you get past the borders and into international waters, the geopolitical reality is you have people who want to kill us.
It goes
So-
back to the colonization and human nature throughout all time. We are there are always hostile people. I'm with you, Rick. I wish we could zero out the Pentagon budget tomorrow. We could do a lot of good other with that money, right? But the reality is, I understand human nature and psychology, and there's a lot of evil people. So you have to, as Reagan said and Trump, peace through strength is the only way really to assure. And even then, there will be some nut who will decide, think they're David, you're Goliath, right? They're going to hit you with that stone.
And you hear a lot about corruption in Ukraine. That's absolutely there. There's money laundering going on. Some of these arms are being sold off so people can get rich. We know that's going on, but it goes on everywhere. The Russians have their own military industrial complex, and we've seen over the past couple of months arrests take place with military leaders who are now on trial for corruption because they have seen the need to increase their military spending, and as a result, they want to make sure that the money is being spent properly. And so now they have a new head of defense in the Russian administration. They're looking to economists really rather to run things there rather than just military people, because they're starting to take more note of counting the beans. And we've seen investigations and reports come out of Russia showing that some of these guys who are now actually in jail, some of these military leaders that Putin has had arrested, they have been so corrupt that they've been living like an elite life, buying jewelry and watches worth, 8 Rolex watches worth like 85 grand, and living in mansions and purchasing high-end real estate. And it just blatantly, they've got problems there. We've got problems here. It's not exclusive to the West.
No, the corruption is everywhere. I've said it over and over on your show. Biden corrupt, Zelensky corrupt, Putin as corrupt as the two of them combined. So spare me that argument, right? There is corruption. Now, some of these that Putin's putting behind bars and in gulags and sent off to Siberia may indeed be true corruption, unauthorized corruption. You weren't allowed, right? If you're in the Putin inside circle, the corruption is fine. But if you're not, that's a whole other thing. Or if maybe like Przhenka, if you're getting an inkling of a notion, maybe this Ukraine stuff's got to come to an end. You're not fully on board with Putin. You disappear. So there's a little of all that, I think.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Well, we know.
True.
So, yeah. Corruption is... I don't live in Russia, and I'm not Russian, and nobody's paying me, so I can just come out and say it. Corruption is part of their system. And it is in the United States and Canada, too. But here, it's not really... it's what you can get away with, right? And it's inside knowledge and insider trading and stuff like that, so you can take advantage of situations are coming up. If you're in government, legislation is going to be passed, or there's going to be a bunch of spending in a particular area. Maybe you buy stocks so you can profit ahead of the curve, stuff like that.
A lot of the problem here is too, socialist communists are really stupid people. Look at Bernie Sanders, right? Millionaires and billionaires. He's a multimillionaire. He has 3 mansions. One of them oceanfront property, while they're still talking, the waters are going to erase the coast. But him and Gore and Obama all have oceanfront property. He also has a $250,000 sports car he drives around in and flaunts his wealth. Yet, meanwhile, the Bernie brotards are out there. They think he's for them. And, if only Bernie were in charge, this is where their stupidity comes. They don't understand the dynamic. Hey, you're not going to be on the inside. You're not going to get to be part of the elite party. You are the suckers.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's that's the way it's been always, especially in authoritarian governments, right? This is what this. Dragon, you're sitting there and you're picking up these brochures from these folks. I've been there myself at these kinds of protests, and they sit there and they tell people we're for the people, and yet as soon as they get into power, how is the wealth distributed? It's just all they're doing is they're saying, no, we're not going to let these big corporate oligarchs have the money anymore or whatever. We're gonna take the money. We're gonna live in the palace. We're going to dictate from on high, and you're not going to have free speech. You're not going to have freedom of expression. You're not going to be able to protest. If you do, we're going to throw you in jail, and then we're going to maintain order by putting our boot on the neck of anybody that opposes us. That's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
And I've talked about going to Cuba, right, which is supposed to be some communist utopia. I've been there. I walked around, and the people they don't really have a lot. I stood on the street and I watched the cars go by, and it's all piece of crap, piece of crap, piece of crap, piece of crap, Rolls Royce, piece of crap, 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 Lamborghini. It's like, I get it. Yeah, that's equity. That I would say equality, right? No, I wonder where that guy works. Probably over at the seat of government. Because it sure ain't. It's not free market capitalism over there, and it's not by a long shot. Oh, there's an Aston Martin, piece of crap, piece of crap, piece of crap.
Yeah, as the saying goes, you can vote yourself into communism, fascism, and socialism, but you've got to fight your way out, which is why the first thing they do, disarm the populace. They want you to have guns to fight their commie or fascist or socialist revolution, but the minute they acquire power, no, you got to give all that up. Give up all your guns. We'll take care of you.
Tell you this, I loved the people of Cuba. I walked around, I talked to them, super friendly, really nice folks. Lovely people. Just too bad they didn't have access to ketchup and soap. And that was the truth, too.
I do have
there
some
was a shortage of
Cuban
soap
and
ketchup.
Chilean friend.
What's that?
I got some Chilean and Cuban friend around, so I know. Good people, good culture. I love it.
Yeah. Even at the resort where I was staying, there was a shortage of soap and ketchup. It was weird.
But I got a question, though. Have you seen between two pieces of crap a Tesla somewhere on the road?
Have I seen what?
Tesla.
A Tesla between two pieces of crap.
A Tesla is a piece of crap.
Uh-oh. Guess what?
Touche.
You are
They're
now
terrible cars. I'm just
you are now
telling you, don't
banned.
buy one.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you
Elon, it's just true.
You are now banned from X. Yeah. You are now banned from X.
Terrible
Yeah.
cars. They're awful. They're awful.
Please, Elon, don't ban me.
Yeah, I joke. I'm of course I'm restricted. I'm not locked out, they tell me. I'm restricted, but of course their automated system accuses me of using an automated system to make posts. Hello, the irony there. And of course, the remedy is go through this other automated system. Okay, and at the end of me jumping through all their hoops, it says, okay, we recognize you as human. Click OK to be put back on X. You click that, and what does it say? Technical issues. Please try again later. So I can't get back into X either. But yeah, I was joking about the new Tesla, the Y. It's like the generational joke I always tell. Generation Y, as in why are you here? The new Tesla is the Y class. Like, why would anybody buy one? But in all seriousness, that's finally a Tesla that has a reasonable price tag for a change. So, Maybe finally there is a reasonable Tesla. I don't know. I would
there's
never.
No reasonable Tesla. I don't want to get into car stuff because I'll talk all night. But don't buy a Tesla. They don't have a dealer network, so you don't have proper service for it unless you're living in a major city close to someplace that is an authorized service center. You're going to be a SOL when you've got serious problems with your Tesla. Like here in my town, there's no place to take a Tesla to get it repaired. And if you try to have like Joe's Garage fix it, it's going to blow your warranty. So don't do that. It's a big problem. If you're going to buy an electric car, personally, and I've driven a whole bunch of them over the past couple of years, stick with a brand name like Ford, like a Mach-E, or even Hyundai is producing a lot of electric vehicles. Don't buy a Tesla, man. I'm telling you, you'll live to regret it. And they don't hold their value on the resale market.
Well, there is a Tesla dealership in Detroit. Now, if I were a millionaire, like a Johnny Galecki of, The Big Bang Theory, he was one of the early people to buy a Tesla Roadster.
Yeah.
I love the look of that car.
That was a Lotus, man. Tesla, that's what got Tesla started. They took a Lotus, I think it was a Lotus Elise, and it's super sexy sports car. They electrified it, and they drove around and said, "Look at the." People thought it was a Tesla. It's a Lotus, so no wonder it looks hot. I mean, beautiful styling, right? Gorgeous cars, but oh my goodness, these electric cars. I could go on and on about it, but.
But if I had money to burn, okay, maybe. But again, that's the only people it's really a market for. People who have tons of dough, and if the thing falls apart tomorrow, it doesn't matter. They've got a gas car next to it in their 5-car garage they can drive.
The thing is, we're talking about electric cars. It ties right into everything else we've been talking about because this is about oil. It's about energy. It's about the transformation of our industrial base. It's about what the future is going to look like. And cars, automobiles, are central to the economy. They're central to the future. They're trying to transform our entire economy. That's also what China is about with the competition for minerals. It's a competition for who's going to be producing these vehicles and the batteries. And we're seeing it's a big competition right now. And that's also what the BRICS nations and the attempt by the BRICS nations to get off the US dollar as the world reserve currency. And it all kind of still comes back to cars, electric vehicles. Can they get us off oil? What will happen to the economy if they do? And I'm very worried about it because I don't think the plan is working. That much is very evident because you're seeing unprecedented amounts of money, billions and billions and billions of dollars being dumped into the industry by government in both Canada and the US in order to force this huge transformation, not just of the industry, but the entire economy. And we're already seeing that it's not working. We don't have the infrastructure. People can't charge these things properly. We're seeing brownouts and blackouts in areas because they can't generate enough electricity. They can't get enough lithium to produce enough of the batteries. And China controls so much of the market for those rare earth minerals that they're dominating already. They're dominating on production. You have other countries like Vietnam coming online, producing these vehicles with lower cost labor. And over here, the unions are still pushing to keep wages high. And the economy has been so overinflated because of all this massive money printing and spending in order to transform the economy that the unions have now seen. Like we just saw the unions negotiate 30 and 40% wage hikes over the life of contracts, which I don't think I've ever seen before. This is massive inflation. This is not working already.
Yeah, and the climate charge with, we don't really strip mine here anymore. And where we do clear, we reclaim. But they look the other way when China is strip mining all over the place for the rare earth metals, for their God worship, planet worship, rare earth minerals for their electric vehicles. You know, again, it's the issue is never the issue. It's always just anti-Westernism. It's about destroying the West. Because again, China's doing that. Oh, no problem. See no, hear no, speak no.
Gotcha. Dragon, anything
Socialism.
else? Yeah, there you go. That's what it is, man. It's a centrally planned economy. This is not free market capitalism. This isn't even free market, okay? Let alone capitalism.
Exactly what this thing explained.
There you go. Yeah, it's part of the whole revolution, right? And yeah, the inflation is like a hidden tax. It's terrible,
it is.
and it's running at about 18 to 20% a year. So people of fixed incomes have already seen their true worth eroded by 40% over the past 3-4 years. So it's terrible.
I've been on disability since 2004. Yeah, these last 3 years have completely destroyed a budget that already had very little wiggle room, and there's only so much you can cut until you're to the bone, and you can't. I did a rant on one of my shows the other day, Bidenomics Part 3. The leftists, it's why education is so bad. They want it to be. They want people to be done. They don't want you to understand economics as an accounting, left and right, debit and credit sides of ledgers. Hey, wow, you got a 10% increase. It's $250 more a month, just to pull a number out of the air. But guess what? The things you buy are costing you $500 more a month. Moron, you lost ground. You can't just look at one side of the ledger.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And inflation, is okay for people, I guess, if you have a corresponding increase in your wage, your income. But if you're on a fixed income, if you're a retiree, no, you're in big trouble. Like my parents, right? They're, of course, retired, and it's very tough for them because the cost of groceries and everything has increased so much. So I see it. It's tough for me too. Like incredibly
I'm
tough.
on fixed income.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So
our Social Security COLA adjustments are, because again, whenever the left is in power here, they play with the definitions. They redefine how everything is measured so that Biden can claim inflation is down, but not really. Unemployment down, but not really. You have to look at the labor participation rate. That hasn't changed. That's real apples to apples, and that is the lowest record in history since it was recorded, since the last time it was taken to the lowest, which was Obama and Biden administration. Trump had that climbing back a bit. Same with inflation. Gasoline isn't factored in. Are you kidding me? Fuel drives you need it to get anything from point A to point B. That's a big driver. So you got to go by the World War II bushel basket index. Hasn't changed in 80 years. And that's where that comes in. Oh, wow. You luckily got a 10% increase. Well, the bushel basket index says inflation really is 20%, not 7%.
Yes, and you can go to a website called Shadow Stats. It will show you that the way they calculate inflation today and a lot of other government statistics on the economy, it's not the same as it was, say, back in the 1970s. So you can go to that website to get a truer indication of how where we're at with the economy, where we're at with inflation, because they don't calculate it the same way that they did back then. They're
right.
Changing what goes into that basket of goods and services that they use to calculate the CPI, and they make it look more favorable toward government. So they kind of lie to you that way, right? To sugarcoat it.
Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. They redefine the way it's measured to make themselves not look as bad as they are. And, and the other thing is cost of living is different from New York and San Francisco as it is in Montana and Louisiana. Right now, New Orleans, cost of living is high. The rest of Louisiana, it's pretty low. So it all depends, of course, too, on where you live.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of lies, and more lies, it's hard to tell what the truth is, especially on X and Twitter, which I would say has become an information cesspool, honestly. Some truth in there and a whole lot of lying and artificial intelligence generated propaganda, and it's just a cesspool of everything. But circulating on social media tonight, a couple of things. First of all, this announcement from the Israeli Defense Force that they struck a target inside Rafah just a short time ago. Says an IDF aircraft struck a Hamas compound in Rafah, in which significant Hamas terrorists were operating a short while ago. The strike was carried out against legitimate targets under international law, through the use of precise munitions and on the basis of precise intelligence that indicated Hamas's use of the area. The IDF is aware of reports indicating that as a result of the strike and fire that was ignited, several civilians in the area were harmed. The incident is under review. So there's that from them, and then we're seeing, of course, the other side of this is saying that basically Israel is guilty of striking civilians.
So, in other words, a couple of the human shields Hamas was using did indeed become collateral damage. That is not at all a shock or surprise to me. Now, I mean, look at Dresden. We don't carpet bomb. I mean, if Israel really wanted to, they could carpet bomb all of Gaza. You elected the Hamas terrorists who then attacked a sovereign nation. They, if they wanted, could carpet bomb the entire region. They are not doing that. They are using precision munitions, as Rick pointed out, to try to pinpoint legitimate targets, despite the fact that you put them among civilian population because you don't care about your civilian population. You want the collateral damage to spin. And what is Hamas using? Precision? No, they're just lobbing things randomly, hoping to hit something, anything.
Dragon?
Makes sense. Well, it makes sense to me. That's all what I can tell you.
The what I'm seeing as a result of this attack tonight too is, well, it was actually a little earlier today in Rafah. I'm seeing videos come out that honestly have all the earmarks of propaganda, even videos that look to me like they may have been altered or even generated with artificial intelligence. They just don't look quite right. I don't want to run them here because I don't want to run any of it, honestly, because some of it's very graphic. Even if it is fake, it's extremely, graphic and violent. If you want to see it, you can go find them and you can assess for yourself. But there's no question. Some of what I'm seeing is fabricated. Some of it is real. So I'm getting that. But there's a huge information war going on. And I'm seeing some of the same footage used by both sides. They just put different, posts on it with different narrative. So they're spinning the information in a different way to make you think about it one way or the other, to support one side or the other.
Well, I've said it several times on your show, mainly regarding the Ukraine-Russia thing. Any and all sides engages in propaganda. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. No one side is pure in this. They all do it. Again, it goes back to human nature. The United States obviously engages in its own set of propaganda also. But I'm going to drop out. I've got a chapter that I need to rework for Constitutionalist Politics 2, that the Kindle's supposed to drop June 1st and the soft copy June 5th. So I'm running out of time.
Okay. Could I get you to stick around for maybe another 10 minutes? I'd really like your opinion on something. Can you do that?
Okay. All right.
Okay. Because this is still related to that.
Yeah, I can.
And this is actually something that was from yesterday that we talked about. And this is the escalation of the war in Ukraine in Kharkiv. Okay. And just so people have a reference point, here's a map. This is Kharkiv in Ukraine. It's hard to see on the map, but this jagged black line, that's the border between Ukraine and Russia. I've circled the community of Kharkiv right there. Here's a different shot to show you how, okay, there's Kharkiv right on the border where that blue line comes. That's where the border is, and that's how far away they are from Moscow. Just to give you a reference, okay? So this is, there's a big battle going on there right now. And yesterday we saw a missile strike at a hyper center, which is a big shopping center, okay? I'll show you the footage here again.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. And so we're getting two different narratives out of there. And yesterday Kevin was on and he was sharing what he knew at the time.
What he wants people to think he knows.
Yeah, so he was of the opinion and told us that this was, it was a shopping center, but because of all the smoke, he says that they had munitions there. Okay? Well, we know that I think it's now 14 people were killed. Or I could be wrong about that. I might be mixing up the tornado. I'm sorry. But here's footage from the big fire that came after the missile strike. Okay? So we're getting two different narratives. The one is that this was a shopping center struck. The other one is that, yeah, it was a shopping center, but they were using it to house a military operation. So that's what it looked like there in Kharkiv. I have this other footage, though, from inside the building now, which we did not have yesterday. And I really didn't know how to comment on this so much because, of course, I just had very limited information yesterday when Kevin was on, and I'm sure that he did too. But here's a shot inside the building from a security camera as the missile strikes. And again, violent. I think we can show it. It's not so graphic that it, I think we can show this. So here we go. This is what it looked like inside the building. A do-it-yourself home improvement hardware center. Missile strikes. And there are several different security videos from security cameras from inside the building that have been released now. Zelensky, of course, has called Vladimir Putin a madman for this. And here is now more footage. Joseph, I'll just get your comment on this. What do you think?
Well, we know Putin and the army, or maybe Wagner or whomever, have hit purely, clearly civilian-only apartment complexes. So there's that. Can I refute what Kevin is saying here? No, because I give you honest analysis, not just what spin fits me, right? So it could, what Kevin's saying, be true? Yes. Do I believe it? No, because it could be, show me the schematics. It could be the diesel stores and the diesel generators for when power goes out that is now ablaze with all that black smoke.
Now, I did say yesterday that in all the years that I've covered fires, and I've been to lots, the only time I've seen smoke quite like that is when you have a lot of plastics or chemicals inside a building burning. But, as I look at this, one explanation could be that this is a home improvement center. It's a hardware store. It's full of paint and other kinds of chemicals in there. And yes, there are all kinds of fuels as well. And I have seen For instance, I've seen furniture stores filled with furniture go up in flames, and you get thick black smoke from that as well, because you have polyester fibers, vinyls, all kinds of materials like that in the furniture that burns. And so you get thick, super thick black smoke. This is a giant hardware store inside a giant shopping plaza. And there's all, yeah, so I see in there all kinds of stuff that can burn, that can produce smoke like that. How much of this do you think is information warfare and propaganda?
Again, every side engages in propaganda. I could see the argument that it could be either or. I'm not going to therefore take a position on it. If I were to pick a side, I would say indeed, that it is more your explanation than Kevin's. But of course, Kevin is going to use it as propaganda. And let me also say this. Sometimes things happen, right? Missiles aren't perfect. Maybe something wasn't meant to hit it, but did. So, I hate to be that, middle of the road, because then you get hit by traffic going both ways, right? But honest analysis demands, I say, it could be this or that. It could be that. It could be errant armament. It wasn't intended to hit it. Any of these things could be true. And in the fog of war, all you're going to get is the narratives that fit each side as propaganda.
I'll say this, if there were munitions stored there, I would have expected much larger secondary and tertiary explosions.
Me too.
And it would have taken out a lot more of the area than just that section of the shopping center itself, in my opinion. Because I think back through history, I think of the Halifax ship that blew up a long time ago. A spark set off. There was a ship loaded with munitions, I think during World War I, and it blew up the entire town. The whole city was wiped off the face of the map. It was a huge disaster. Canadians probably don't remember that, but that's a little piece of Canadiana for you and Canadian history. So if that place was loaded with munitions, and I don't know how much might have been there if that was true, but I would have expected far more damage as a result of that attack.
I am in if I'm picking a side, I am in agreement with you. But again, just my desire to not always wear a partisan or particular hat and be a hack. I can and will acknowledge we will never know.
And yeah, that's what Kevin said too. I mean, he says that often. I have to, temper everything that is being said here. Like yesterday, we had only so much information. He's doing his best. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best tonight, and we're still surrounded by all this propaganda, information warfare. And here's Zelensky with just a video related to all of this. Let's bring him up. Oh, we're losing the internet again. Hang on a second here. Let me re-cue him. He's frozen up. Well, that's because he's all the way over there. And what the heck just happened? Looks like we've almost lost him. Maybe we did lose him. Where did Zelensky go?
Back in the tank.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway,
Well,
I said okay. I'm going to drop out now.
Sure.
Good meeting you, Dragon. Take care.
Same here, Joseph.
Have a good one.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good one.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And there you go. So let's take a little break here, Dragon. I'll see if I can queue up the other material that I had. We'll be right back on the other side of this. Don't go away, folks.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating Millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, we're back. So, yeah, we lost that with that clip that I was going to show you. Not a big deal. It's not really a big deal. I am still curious to know. We don't really have an answer yet on where things stand with the Libertarian nomination at the Libertarian Convention. And so I know that like an hour ago, still no decision. So they're still going through the process there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No, we still don't have, they still haven't selected a nominee at the Libertarian Party. But you know what? Since they didn't go with RFK Jr. and since they didn't go with Trump, I think Trump is right. You know what they'll end up with? 2 to 3%.
Probably right. And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's weird because we're speaking about libertarian, and I mean, this pamphlet was speaking about all that too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's all linked between the whole thing. I think there's a lot of that to go between, and
There's this other.
it's a whole crazy world.
Yeah. There's this other story too that we should probably make people aware of tonight because it is. I think it's actually pretty important, and this is. Let me get the clip up here for you. I hope I still have it. This is about Trudeau and the inquiry into, maybe I've lost that too. Yeah, the computer went kind of crazy here. Let me just see here. Sorry, folks. I don't mean to. We've just had so much information coming in here today. This was about the inquiry into corruption, the Winnipeg Labs scandal. That's what it is. And Michael Barrett. Let me see if I can find you his clip again, because the inquiry shut down. And I know this is of real interest to the folks there. There it is here. Yeah, so that's old. I need the most up-to-date one. Sorry. Really sorry. I'll cue it up. Any other thoughts, Dragon, to tide us over here while I get this stuff queued up?
Well, to tie us up with the news, yeah, well, I will actually do some investigating on the other pamphlet and stuff, and we'll be sure to have some cracky little news, I think. That's going to be fun because we know how I like to dig into it.
Yeah, so I've got the clip now of Michael Barrett talking about this. So I do apologize. I had it all queued up and then everything went sideways. Where'd we go? Here? No. This one right here. Okay. Computer's getting bogged down. That's not the right. Too many things to click. All right. Let's just roll this and I'll shut up and let him talk. Here we go.
You won't believe the latest cover-up of a cover-up from Justin. You won't believe the latest cover-up of a cover-up from Justin Trudeau's NDP Liberal coalition. Just as a new investigation is opening into Trudeau's Winnipeg lab scandal, the NDP Liberal coalition shut down a hearing with witnesses right in the room.
The vote is on a motion from Mr. Fisher to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Baines.
Yes.
Ms. Lambropoulos.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher.
Yes.
Ms. Hefner.
In favor.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Barrett.
Voting against the cover-up.
Mr. Brock.
Absolutely no to this ongoing and persistent.
Chair, that's absolutely inappropriate. Absolutely inappropriate, Chair.
We just need a simple yes or no, please. Thank you.
Mr. Couric.
I vote against.
Canada's information watchdog and Parliament's legal counsel were set to testify, but the Trudeau coalition MPs were desperate to stop them from saying a word. In a historic cover-up, Justin Trudeau even took the House of Commons to court to block the documents from becoming public. But the House of Commons belongs to the people, and our Parliament answers to Canadians. And you have been waiting 4 long years to get answers from Trudeau on the national security breach at Canada's most secure lab in Winnipeg, and how this happened under his watch. The NDP Liberal MPs are supposed to work for you, but their coalition is more interested in protecting Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh's pension than they are in getting transparency for Canadians. Let's recall that Trudeau let 2 operatives from the dictatorship in Beijing infiltrate Canada's most secure lab. They sent deadly viruses to the communist dictatorship in Beijing and gave access to secure files and documents. Justin Trudeau put the security of Canadians at risk, and then he tried to cover it up. How exactly did Trudeau orchestrate this cover-up? Well, it must be really bad if he sent his coalition MPs to stop an investigation. The Liberals and the NDP forgot that they work for you. But we're not backing down. Conservatives will keep fighting to expose this costly NDP Liberal coalition for their cover-ups and their scandals, and we're going to hold them accountable because you deserve answers. Stay tuned for more updates.
That's Michael Barrett. What do you think?
Yeah. What I think, yeah, well, the corruption of our government has reached all-time high. That's for sure. And yeah, we'll welcome this commission to find pretty much what they can, right? Because it's not one of those have been followed a lot, but I know about those 2 Beijing spy who were coming around, and I've been on the news on this one, and yeah, I'm kind of frustrated of this, you know.
Yeah. Well, Dragon, that gets us close to the bottom of the hour. I'll just look to you to see if you have any final thoughts for this evening.
Well, a final thought: stay good, always be positive. Take the bulls by the horn and kick his nuts. That's my motto. So that's true, man.
Okay.
Always keep a head up.
Okay, that's pretty straight up. Yeah, folks, and yeah, just in closing, if you want to support this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Please consider subscribing over on Rumble, the free speech platform that we are on. And hit the notification bell if you do subscribe over on our YouTube channels. And help us cover the bills if you want. If you like what we're doing, at maverickdonations.com. You can also donate at freedomreporters.com. That's the PayPal. And that does help cover the bills. And we need that support because we're demonetized. It's entirely up to you guys. And Dragon, how can people find your channel?
Well, it's the One Rising Dragon on YouTube and also on X. You can find me on Dragon on Facebook. And please, I need more subscribers on my YouTube. If I can reach 50, I can probably go live once in a while. So if you want something pretty much bang on, the one and only Dragon for yourself, the one and only, you know what to do. So take care, guys.
Direct from the Dragon's Lair. There he is. Dragon, thank you so much. And folks, I will be back tomorrow night here on the Maverick News Channel, same time, where we have the antivirus programs for your mind. Catch you guys tomorrow on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.